Hello everyone, I'm Korean. First of all, happy Chinese New Year to you and your family. And I understand this batch of SPM is kind of unlucky because it falls in the middle of SPM, so you don't really have much mood on studying. Sorry, not much mood to celebrate lah. Sorry. Okay, and don't worry, SPM only comes once in a lifetime, right? But Chinese New Year, it comes every year, right? You get to celebrate it every year. So don't worry, like you didn't get to, join your relative to celebrate that crazy or. So first of all, the reason why I uploaded this video is because I actually uh did created this file like last year, December, but I don't think that much student really notice about it. I think it's really important because it's all the trial paper I've compiled and I write out all the topics that ask. Yeah. So the reason why it's so important because mostly trial paper questions that frequently came out has a very high possibility to come out in the SPM. That's why a lot of people say SPM is easy to score because it is repetition. Yeah, majority of questions is repeating. But I understand there are some K-but which is quite new lah. Okay, that one you don't have to worry much about it because once you grasp the majority of the questions, you have you can probably score a good grades already. For those who are aiming to get like perfect one, those who are aim to get, score the K-bar question also is for you that, wish to get A plus in your biology lah. But yeah, I believe all of you can do it one last. I understand biology is somewhat hard to really score A plus compared to chemistry and physics lah. Physics one, you know lah. Physics, you observe which one is longer, which one is shorter, and what is the relationship. And then, it's very direct, okay? But this biology is about process, so I understand why students really find it a hard time to really, you know, explain it well, the concept well. So yeah, I'm going to start off with the topics that you have to focus. So from chapter 2 to 7, surely will be asked in the structure question in SPM. Surely will be asked lah. It's either they ask about the cell structures or they ask about the plasma membrane, the caviar protein, or they will ask about the DNA or maybe enzymes, mitosis, meiosis, the cellular respiration. So it's really important for you to understand the fundamental chapter. It's something you must score at least lah. Because I know, like starting from Form 4, Chapter 8, all the chapters, it really, requires more understanding, harder to, explain it. But all these are fundamental, so you must at least know how to score with it lah. And for chapter 2, because all these are important, the cell structure, the paramecium. K-but question you have to be careful is, these are actually came out lah, so I've written it down. Like effect, what if there is no mitochondria? And the effect of placing it in a salt water, all this I've discussed it in my video already. And chapter 3 one is about plasma membrane. And you have to know which molecule get to pass through carrier protein or pass through the channel protein or which cannot pass through like that lah. So you have to know facilitated diffusion, active transport, all the characteristics of it. And then you have to know what is hypertonic, hypotonic, and isotonic. These are really important. Okay, you have to know how to explain the concept lah. Water will diffuse in or diffuse out. Wire osmosis. That is the very important word. So you can see that so many people that come out this chapter. And another thing, hemolysis, crenation of red blood cell. For chapter 4, I realized they frequently come out this nucleic acid, which is DNA. And you must at least know how to draw and label the nucleotide is frequently asked. And the role of the nucleic acid. For the sugar one, monosaccharide carbohydrate, it actually came out in my SPM batch 2022. It came out about the Benedict test lah. So but it also came out in a trial paper also lah. So maybe you have to, put focus on it also. But the nucleotide is really important because I noticed it came out a lot of times. And about enzymes, yeah, for enzyme, right, you have to know what are the characteristics. Yeah, it is reusable, the structures remain unchanged, speed up the catalytic, all those things. And what are the factors, temperature, yeah, pH. And another thing that is really important, I realize they frequently come up the KBAC question, which is enzyme immobilization technology. So remember to check out my video to know more about the enzyme immobilization technology. Lah. And yeah, it's basically combining with the inert product. That's why it is more resistance towards the change in temperature and pH. And about this chapter 6 is more on mitosis, meiosis. This one you really have to know lor, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. This is like something you must know already, okay? And the chromosomal behavior, you must know whether it's a time where metaphase is where they align in the equatorial plane. Yeah, all those things. And the K-bar question is yeah, talking about the non-disjunction issue is actually really frequently come up. Like every year they will always ask this non-disjunction. Yeah. And for chapter 7 is actually about the aerobic respiration. You have to know what the differences are and the equation. Yeah. These are the importance for this chapter 7. So chapter 2 to 7, you must really put focus on it. It surely will come out in structure question. But for essay question, it tends to be less likely. Essay question for chapter question is less likely, which is the bahagian B and bahagian C is less likely because normally essay questions they will ask further harder topics starting from the for chapter 8 lah. And for chapter 8, last year, it actually my year lah, it came out the COPD. Yeah. So for this year, they didn't put much focus on it, but you also have to be careful about it. Yeah. They got talk about the COPD lah. They got asked about it in my batch. So this batch, probably you have to focus more on the respiratory structure, gases exchange. Yeah. And for chapter 9 is more important. Yeah. Why did I say this is more important? You can see the questions they ask. The state paper have been asking it a lot of times, right? So yeah, these are all the important questions you must at least know lah. What are the organs, stomach, all those stomach, the liver, small intestine, adaptation of wheelers, the digestion of protein, lipid, carbohydrate, you must know already, okay? You must know what are the enzyme it requires. And then the KBAC question they really like to ask lah, probably talking about what happens, you know, what happens if they don't have, I mean, if he actually remove his gallbladder, maybe lah. Dry mouth effect or the effect of pica, the surgery, the bariatric surgery where they reduce the volume of the stomach, practice to prevent gastritis, and yeah, that's that's about it lah. A lot of them you really have to put focus on every single one of them because this chapter they frequently ask it. But another thing is that this chapter actually came out in your Amali, right? Whereby you have to the calorific value, right? Yeah, calculate, I think. So yeah, probably is also very important in the SPM also since they frequently come out. Okay. And then suggest a diet plan also really important. I mean, it's really common sense lah. Why you have to eat carbohydrate? Why you have to eat protein? Protein, it helps more on the regeneration lah. And then for chapter 10 is whereby I sing the blood clotting song because I think it's really important. It came out few times about the blood clotting. And other than that, there are some KBAC questions talking about like, the treatment. Yeah, coronary angioplasty treatment whereby they 吹泡泡, they blow the balloon. Yeah, I've explained it in the previous video. So yeah, but the thing they didn't really ask is what the students most afraid one, the lymphatic system. Yeah, I'm not saying that you don't have to put focus or you don't have to read. You also have to read it because it will come out in objective question also, right? So lymphatic system, I would say that SPM 2021 they came out before. And then SPM 2022, my batch didn't come out. SPM 2023, I don't know. But you can see the trial paper, they never ask about lymphatic system lah. So I can't guarantee it won't come out, but it will come out in objective lah, probably. So yeah. But the other thing you must put focus is blood clotting and blood group. You must know how to, match the compatibility of the blood donor, all those things. And then chapter 11 is whereby you must know the action of antibodies and the first, second, third line of defense. It's really important. And yeah, that's all. The immunity, yeah, that one you must know already lah. Which one is natural, passive, active, yeah, artificial, active, all those types of immunity. Because even though it won't be asked in your paper two, it sure asked in the paper one, right? They like to trick students by asking the four types of immunity. And then for the chapter 12, it's more on, yeah, you must put focus because I realized it is frequently asked when I was doing the discussion. Yeah, the motor neuron, all those neurons, you must at least know, and the synapse and the health issues, yeah, all the reflex arc, whether is it a voluntary or involuntary actions. Yeah, these are all something you really must take note on because chapter 12 is also a very frequently asked question. And chapter 13, not much, but the something they like to ask in this is homeostasis and urinary system. Which is basically the chapter 13. But the homeostasis is more on the temperature, and they also got ask blood osmotic and blood sugar lah. But it doesn't mean that other you don't have to read much about it lah. Because I remember they came out in my batch lah, but it doesn't mean that this year won't come out. So you also have to put focus lah. And about how urine is produced. Yeah. And moving on, chapter 14 is really important. That's why I emphasize all lah. And yeah, they frequently ask a lot of things. What are the things? Yeah, the vertebrae, your tendon, ligament, what are the differences between them, and the joints. Wow, they ask like so many times until I discuss sian already, not sian lah, but yeah, they got ball and socket joints, yeah, and then another one you have to put focus is the K-bar question. Like, what happens if the tendon tore? Yeah, what happens the joint dislocated? And yeah, all these are really important. So yeah, all of them lah. You just read through it, and at least you have to know in your mind what are the answers to answer it lah. These are all the questions that asked in the trial paper. Yeah, copy and paste that. And for chapter 15 is the chapter where students are most afraid of. My batch they came out the placenta one. So um this chapter, yeah, everything is also quite important honestly, because they also got asked about metamorphosis and incomplete metamorphosis. The only thing I realized they didn't ask is the growth curve of human. Yeah, the only thing I realized it didn't ask lah. Others, yeah, everything is important that's what I can say. And moving on to chapter from 5 already. Yeah, so chapter 15, don't be too stressed out about it lah. Because it's biology not only ask about that chapter ma, okay, other chapter you can score ma. Maybe that chapter you are not that good, but don't be so stressed out about it lah, okay. And for Form 5 chapter, the chapter 1 they won't really ask lah because it already asked in my batch, but it doesn't mean they won't ask it. The thing I realized is the questions in chapter 1 that is asked in the trial paper is very less lah, from 5 lah. But it doesn't mean like you don't have to study because you have to study everything. If you come out in objective questions also ma, right? And the thing you have to be careful is the Form 5 chapter 2 because yeah, you can see lah, a whole list of it you have to take note of. And you can see so many trial people that so many state that come out this chapter. So yeah, please put focus on it. I'm not gonna read every single of them. Okay, this video gonna last like 1 hour if I read all of them. But yeah, every single one is really important. You know, the palisade, spongy mesophyll, you must at least know lah. The light dependent, independent differences, adaptation of the cells. Yeah. Okay. And then the next one is talking about chapter 3. Chapter 3, I realize Selangor paper, they like to ask it for this year lah. A bit funny lah, but they they keep putting the same picture. I mean, not same picture lah, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nutritional adaptation of plants. And yeah, these are all the things you have to put focus on, which is like, yeah, the carnivorous plant, parasitic plant, all those stuff. And for Form 5 chapter 4, it's about, your xylem and phloem. Yeah, they love to ask those one. Like every single year, sure got one. I mean, not sure got in SPM, but every trial paper you see, most likely have this chapter one, xylem and phloem. And the K-bar question they like to ask is talking about they cut the ring of bark. When the ring of bark is removed, then what happens? The top part will be swollen. Yeah, those are the things you have to take note on in case you don't know what I'm talking about lah. Okay, so once you cut the ring of bark, and then few days later, you realize that here becomes shrink, and then here becomes swollen. Why it becomes swollen? Because you have removed the phloem. You remove the phloem, you are not able, because phloem is the one that transport the sucrose, right? And hormones and others like organic compounds. But you cut off the phloem, so the road is disrupted. You block the phloem pathway. So that's why all the sucrose will be accumulating at here. That's why it lead to swollen. Yeah, they like to ask this question in every year trial paper. And yeah, the xylem and phloem and the KBAC questions are really important also. Chapter 5 is more on the phytohormones, and I realized they also like to ask this in the recent past, recent trial paper. So you must put focus on every one of them. Yeah, because they sure will ask in the objective one, like to ask about the auxin, ethylene, and then the phototropism, geotropism. What happens to the shoot? Will it go up or go down? Yeah, it depends on the stimulus. And then the next thing, yeah, the parthenocracy, this one always come out one. And how ripened fruit will stimulate ripening of unripe fruit, because ripened fruit will produce ethylene hormone. Then yeah, it will promote the ripening of fruit again. And for chapter 6 is reproduction of the flowering plants lah. So there is the most important thing is the double fertilization, and at least you must know the structure of the flower lah, the stigma, the filament, the anther, the pollen grains. You must know the double fertilization. And moving on to the next one is, oh, chapter 7. Okay. this chapter, they didn't really ask about it lah. So because it's not because, I mean, cannot say this lah. Later, a lot of students, it came out in SPM 2021. Then 2022, they didn't ask already. And the trial paper only got one state that asked about it lah. So in Langor paper, they asked about the hydrophytes. And yeah, that's all. I don't want to comment too much. Later, all the student gonna sue me for simply talking. Later, it come out then gg.com. And chapter 8 and 9 is, I mean, especially chapter 9, they really like to ask because it really based on students' own understanding and they can explain it in their own biological, I mean, not their own, lah, but yeah, based on a biological concept, especially the K-BAT questions, whereby what happens effect of logging towards the mangrove swamp species. This one is actually got combined with the chapter 10, talking about the environment sustainability. And yeah, I missed out the chapter 8. Chapter 8, yeah, the kingdom. Yeah, students don't like that because it's just plain memorization. And yeah, this chapter, you must at least know how to write the scientific name. And oh, this chapter a bit surprised lah because it came out in my batch, Bahagian C. And yeah, it's a combination of chapter 8 and 9 because it came out dichotomous key and then asked about, yeah, the biological, I mean, they got asked about biological control. So yeah, so these two, they kind of relate with each other. So you can see how frequently it asks in your trial paper, which means that you really have to put focus on it. And remember, you have to be careful of the formula that you have to use lah. Okay, don't apply the wrong formula. And then, yeah, there are a lot of things that us, and they always talk about the mangrove system lah, mangrove swamp ecosystem. So yeah, super important, super important. And the next one is whereby chapter 10, aiya, all this whole chapter 10, chapter 13 of the form 5, right? They like to ask in the essay questions because it's where students can elaborate their points. Is the most open question you can have in those two chapters. They like to ask, I mean, require students to explain. Uh, it's actually helping students to earn marks, honestly, because these are not just purely based on memorization. You can just write on through your common knowledge and explain it in a, yeah, a good way lah. Don't, yeah, be specific also. And this chapter, say a lot of state paper as food security. I don't know why. It's actually when I was a student, right, I neglect this food security. But for this batch, I realized trial paper they keep asking about food security. Like so many, So you must to put focus on it. No choice. Must to put focus on it. So that's why I, yeah, capital letters on it. And the ecosystem preservation, the mangrove system also. Yeah, so all these are really important because they like to ask it in the open questions for the essay lah. And chapter 11, honestly, every single year trial paper they like to ask a lot of questions. But whether it will come out in SPM, I don't know. And for this batch, the questions is not really huge variety for the trial paper I have compiled for this, I mean this year lah. So doesn't mean it won't come out. It is also very important. And chapter 12, same goes to chapter 12 lah. So it feels like I say everything is important, right? Yeah. Okay. The thing you have to be careful is the gene mutation and the differences between somatic and gamete cell mutation because the somatic and gamete cell is students always neglect one, even me back then. Okay, and the chromosomal mutation maybe got cry to chat or Down syndrome, how to explain, talking about non-disjunction, also related to chapter 6, and talk about long-term exposure mutation, what happens? Uncontrolled cell division occur. Tumor, yeah. And last but not least is the chapter 13. Chapter 13, when I compare the paper, I realized they like to ask this DNA profiling. So you really must put focus on it. And recombinant DNA technology is actually quite frequently asked, lah. Like every single year they like to ask. And every single year, non-stop in SPM, they ask about chapter 13. So whether or not they will break the cycle and not ask this year, or whether or not they will continue the cycle on keep asking chapter 13 in every single year, yeah, you see how it goes. You are the one sitting it. Okay. But I would say since right now it's more on the application of biology, this one is really application in real life. And advancement lah, okay, more advanced version. That's why they like to ask in every single year. They want to at least let students know the knowledge of it. Like biology is not about, microorganism doing playing with the enzyme. We also do a lot of contribution when it comes to production of vaccine and the production of the insulin and solving criminal cases through this DNA profiling. So yeah, that's why they like to ask chapter 13. And it's also more on KBAC question like maybe they may ask like the advantage and disadvantage. You must at least know few of them. In case that day your head gone blank, you don't know what to come up. Okay. So yeah, that's all. I just want you to read it out on your own because there are so many details on it. I won't explain too much. And you can see the yeah biological parent, criminal, you must at least know how to see lah, which I already taught you in the video talking about chapter 13. So yeah, that's all the topic you must focus on. And most importantly, you must to take care of your health. Why? Because lah, okay, if you sick during SPM, wow, really, really unlucky lah because you can't perform in your most best situation, okay, in your most suitable situation. Because when you're sick, you're so tired, you're so lethargic, and you can't really focus on answering it. So please get a adequate sleep lah. Okay, you must sleep adequately and don't like squeeze on every single thing and then you didn't really sleep, then during exam that day you eventually pengsan or you can't really perform lah because I know you got study everything you put inside, but whether you can output or not, it really depends because you have to sleep, you have to okay, why am I lecturing students that I mean you have to get enough sleep lah because sleep is really important to consolidate your information. Make sure you remember those information because if you didn't sleep maybe on that day, yeah, I remember I read this before but I cannot come up with answer. Yeah, maybe because your brain didn't really retain the information you have read last night, so don't burn the midnight oil until too much lah, okay. Yeah, because if you didn't really sleep much, you also weakening your immune system. So yeah, so many biological explanation. All right. So all the best to your biology SPM and same goes to your other subjects. And yeah, I support in everything you do. And most importantly, please be loyal, please be honest. Don't copy your friend's answer because copying SPM, you know what are the consequences lah. You just use your ability to do what you can. I believe like all the hard work will be paid off. Nothing will be in vain. Okay. I mean all your effort won't be in vain lah, honestly. Yeah, so I wish you luck, okay? And please, like, after that exam, don't discuss too much with your friend because it may affect your mood. And then you keep thinking about the past, you can't focus your future, your upcoming exam you are going to take. So don't let that affect you also. Yeah, so that's all. That's all for my tips. Sleep well, eat well, have a good night rest, and yeah, just do your best. Don't be too anxious. Don't be too anxious. Yeah, it's something I hope you can, I mean, you can understand, kind of. So yeah, that's all for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.